All right, well, so normally during this time, I am getting prepared to watch the War Thunder dev stream tomorrow and also experience the War Thunder dev server. But funny enough, we actually have a leak, which is the whole entire dev server, which is crazy. And I feel like, to me at least, that is something that is insanely crazy. I have everything blurred right now, so if you do want to be surprised with the next War Thunder update whenever it comes to the dev stream and dev server, definitely watch the end of this video because I'll actually remove all this sort of stuff and then we'll talk about my feelings about this in general. But at the same time, be prepared because in 3, 2, 1, it's unblurred. So we have our first aircraft here. And this leak is by Olivia, which has been a known leaker. This is why I'm covering it. Normally, for me at least, my rule is that it has to be legible and it also has to be reliable whenever it comes to the leaks themselves. And Olivia in the past have basically been correct about a lot of things. So, I mean, like, I don't really have any doubts that this is incorrect, but also, once again, leakless, so take it with a grain of salt. So, we have the aircraft here first, which is a bunch of F-15s, which is kind of funny. So, it seems like we're getting the A. We're also getting the C for America. And then we're also getting a C late for America as well. So, basically what's going to happen is the F-18A is going to be your Sidewinder / Sparrow Slinger at 12.7. And then the F-18C is going to be a premium, the early version of it at 13.0. It's probably going to be very similar to what the Viggen is whenever it comes to Sweden, but it should have some of the AIM-120s, but I'm not really sure exactly how this is going to be. Probably it's going to be limited on the amount it can actually carry. Finland is getting the F-18C as well. It's also going to 14.0, but a big surprising thing is that the ground RB battle rating is only 12.0, so I'm assuming this thing doesn't really have that like huge like ground ordnance, but I could be wrong about that. And then finally for the F-18C for late, we're actually getting it for 14.0 and it's going after the F-14 group, which is pretty interesting. So if you want to know the preliminary placements, if you're looking to grind them out very quickly, the F-18A is going after the F-4J. We also have the premium one, which you're going to be able to pick up. If you want the Finnish one, you'll be able to get it after the MiG-21. And then finally the F-18C, the late version, which is going to be the one that has all the bells and whistles, you're going to have all the AMRAAMs, all that sort of stuff, is going to go after the F-14. So if you're grinding down the attacker line for like the Harriers, which were, I would have probably thought that would probably went with the F-18s, it's going into the naval line itself. So definitely switch up your grinding or get to that area in the tech tree if you want to get them very soon. We're also getting a J11B coming at 14.0 right after J11A, which is also pretty interesting. Su-30 SM once again coming in with a good old thrust vectoring, which I think is kind of crazy. They actually released a little snippet of it, and I'm going to put it right here. Look at how crazy this thing is, man. Like, I know you bled all your energy and you're probably going to die by a regular game, but this thing in the first turn is going to be such a 1v1 monster. Like, it's going to be quite crazy for what it is. Yeah, it's going to be 14.0. We're also getting a Tiger HAD for fronts. Seems like it's going to be folded with the other Tiger HAD. Or no, it's the Hack. And then we have the HAD. I'm not really sure how to pronounce these. Also, Tiger HAD for Spain, which is going to Germany for a premium. And then for the final one, or the final two, we have the F-16A Block 10 Nets mod, which seems like it's going to be a premium for good old Israel. So honestly, it's going to be pretty interesting. We have an F-18 premium coming this update, and then also we have an F-16, which I think it's kind of insane to think about because I still remember the days of the Sky Blazer, the Trailblazer, whatever that thing was called. It had the little American flag thing with the F-86 Sabre. Like, that was the top tier premium not that long ago, man. And now we're having F-18s, having F-16s. It's quite insane to actually think about it. But yeah, then we also have the Tornado IDS Ret 8. I have no clue what this is. I looked it up. I could literally find nothing about it. So if you have anything about this Tornado, definitely put it in the comments. But here's my assumption. If it has these question marks, which we have a couple of these vehicles, I'm assuming these are like vehicles which are completely not ready yet. So we'll have to see how that kind of goes. So we're missing 2 vehicles from this list, and hopefully we see them in the War Thunder stream in the dev server, which is the SWIP. And then we also don't have the F2 for Japan, so maybe we'll see those, but they did say those might be delayed. So yeah, let's get on to the next one and let's look at the naval ones. So the naval ones we're not going to cover. Here they are. I mean, you can see what they basically are. We're going to cover one thing because I do think it's incredibly important, but as you can see, there's all the battleship placements. The Colorado is coming in apparently, which I think is kind of interesting. But yeah, there's all the ships. It's very cool. The one thing that I do want to know, and one thing that you probably should note, is you see this new starter tree. So there's a thing on the next slide here, which is the following ships have been removed from the trees unless you already own them. So the LS3, the G5, the MTB1, the Type T14. God, that's a tongue twister of a word there. The VTB-8, all these guys for France are also going away. So if you do not own them, they're coastal vehicles. You might want to grind them out before the next War Thunder update comes, because as you can see, they're being removed for replacements within their tech tree. So I think that's honestly pretty interesting if you can get them. Just remember, we have vehicles like the Panther 2, which have been removed before and they never come back. And I assume, especially since it's the Naval, these things are never going to come back to the game. So it is worth probably actually getting them. So now we have my actual favorite portion of this dev blog, or this like leak, which is tanks. So we have the AMD 35, which is coming in after the AMC 35, which is going to be 2.7. This is the French little thing with the 50mm German gun. So this one should be very interesting, very fun to play. The Martyr Clovis is coming in at 8.0. Now, before you go into the comments and before you go and say, well, this thing has a laser rangefinder, it has APFSD, it has thermals, remind you, this is a War Thunder dev server. It gets updated. There might be things that change. Preliminary right now, it's 8.0. So I assume it probably has nothing like a stabilizer. It has nothing like that. It only has the heat round, and it's going to be very similar to DF105, which is also coming in at 8.0. But yeah, I assume unless this gets changed, we'll probably stay at 8.0 as well. And then AMD 35 for Germany is also coming in at 2.7. Then we have the Martyr Clovis once again for 8.0. So next we have an interesting one, which is an Ariete. That's coming in at 11.7. Probably gonna have DN53. It's just gonna have a camo netting. So it's one of those premiums that we've seen through pretty much every single tech tree, where it's just a copy paste top tier premium. And now Italy gets one, and it makes it like only one nation, which will be France now, that does not have a top tier MBT that can actually be usable. So good job, France. I mean, now you have the RGO, and now you have the Ariete, whatever this word is. I'm not gonna try to pronounce it. Next, we have the A25 Mark 8, which is our good boy right there. It's our good boy, the Harry Hopkins. I love this vehicle. I'm really excited to play this vehicle, and it's probably going to be the first vehicle that I play whenever it comes to the next major update. So it's going to be 2.3, which was kind of expected. I mean, the 40mm cannon really isn't that powerful. It is kind of sad though at 2.3, because that pretty much tells me that the Little John adapter isn't coming. I really wish that would have came, man. It would have made this vehicle much more interesting whenever it comes to its battle rating. So next we have the Track Rapier 10.7. I'm not really sure how this thing's going to play. As far as I know about this thing, it's not a proximity like fuse like type thing. It actually has to impact the actual aircraft and the actual helicopter. So as we know, with wonderful things that have to impact stuff, sometimes ping matters. And well, if your ping is bad, well, good luck. That's all I really got to say with that. Next, we have the XM246. This is the guy which has the 30mm 35s, I mean. So it's going to be 8.3, which I think is going to be pretty interesting. I mean, it's going to be something that, I mean, just gives America another SPA. I mean, it's not going to be that huge with it. Probably people run around and kill tanks with it, but yeah, we'll have to see how this kind of goes. Next, we actually have two vehicles which are very similar. We have the 2S19M1 and the M2. This is the Russian artillery, which was put into the War Thunder teaser trailer. So one of them is going to be 7.0, one of them is going to be 7.3. As far as I know, the M2 has either a better engine and also reload. So that's why this thing's going to be 7.3, but it's also going to be a squadron vehicle, which I think is pretty interesting as well. But it's very interesting adding both of them. I would have expected just one of them to come in, and the M2 would have probably been the one I would have picked. It's because like there's not really a huge difference with either one of these vehicles other than, well, a 0.3 difference of a battle rating, which I think, I mean, adding out the vehicles, I guess, whenever it comes to Gaijins in. And then finally, for our last ground vehicle we have here, the Fiat 6614. You know, the little scout car looking thing Italy has? Yeah, imagine if they just put a rocket pod on it. That's basically what this thing is. And once again, this one has a bunch of question marks. So I kind of assume this one's one of those that we'll find probably in the files whenever it comes to the War Thunder dev server opening. But let's see. Maybe it will come in the dev stream itself. Next, we have some weaponry, which really most of these guys aren't like a huge difference. I mean, we have the PLAB, we have the R771, which I mean is just an upgraded R77. The AIM-7P is just going to come to the Hornets and maybe the Tomcats as well. The AGM-65F is just a redesignation of, I believe, the G. I'm just recalling this from like information. I can't remember in my head. This one's going to be the G. And then this one, I believe, is a naval version of one we already have in the game as well. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Targeting pods, as you can see, new ones, cool skins. We have the MiG-21s, we have the F-18C, and then we have the early. So yeah, these skins should be pretty good. But another thing is we have something very interesting. We have a cat, but also at the same time, we have a new HMD Cobra pilot model coming in, I guess, which is going to be pretty cool. And then a big thing, which I think is going to be very underwhelming, but also could actually I don't know. I shouldn't really say this because like whenever I say something like this, someone takes it with like the word of gospel and it's going to go spread around to people and then they get confused. But the night vision system for the Panther 2 is now removable. Now, why would they do this? Huh. I wonder if they might actually reintroduce it in some sort of way. I'm not really sure why they would actually put this ability onto this vehicle if, well, people can't earn it anymore. But at the same time, my percentage of this actually happening is probably like 5. So I wouldn't take anything with a grain of salt with that. But yeah, this is the War Thunder dev server. I'm honestly very surprised that this leak came in, especially since it's like 9:50 p.m. EST and the dev server should open probably in another, like, I don't know, 24 hours-ish, somewhere in there. But at the same time, it's just incredibly sad whenever it comes to seeing this sort of thing. Like, I feel like this update has been one of the most underwhelming updates I've ever seen with War Thunder, and it's insane because we got the Hornets. This has been a vehicle that people have wanted for a very, very long time, and it's not even really me that's like upset about this. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you can just say that I'm going to like lower tier things, and it's where I like to play the game. But even looking at it from people who play top tier constantly, they don't really seem that hyped about this sort of thing, which I think's quite crazy to think about. And I feel like it's kind of the reason of the leaks. I mean, we knew the F-18 was coming probably since last year at some point. If you took like inferences and just, you know, talking about stuff like whenever like the leaks came around that an F-18 was coming, and well, it could have came for another nation. Well, whenever Esmond came in and said that America would be getting their F-18 soon or first, well, that kind of just told you they were working on it at least. I mean, it wouldn't be surprising to me if they already have working models of like the F-22 Raptor or stuff like the F-35s. I mean, like they're working in extreme advance whenever it comes to the game itself. I mean, yeah, it's cool to see leaks. I mean, I enjoy the leaks whenever it comes to like event vehicles and like super rare vehicles, so people can like accordingly time their time to do these sort of events. But whenever it comes to these War Thunder leaks, whenever it's like the actual update and stuff, I kind of like to be surprised. I mean, it's not like this F-18C late is going to go anywhere in the next like year or two. I'm still going to be able to grind it and all that sort of stuff. I kind of like the surprise of it. I don't really like the fact that it just gets leaked every time. I mean, the problem that I've seen a lot is that people just get disinterested, especially whenever vehicles are leaked super early on. But yeah, I mean, like people have told me in the past, well, just don't look at the leaks. I'm going to tell you right now, just with this F-18, just with the teaser trailer today, I probably got over probably 20 DMs today of just people telling me that the F-18 is coming to the game, and I already knew. I mean, I don't mind it, right? Like, I think it's cool if someone's very excited for it and everything, and they just want to share that excitement, right? But even if I personally take away like Reddit or take away Twitter or take away YouTube and all that sort of stuff, it's going to get leaked to me at some point. So at least to me, that's kind of a little bit of a sad thing. And also at the same time, other players are going to see the exact same thing as well. I mean, even if you try to avoid them at some point, it's just accidentally going to come your way. But yeah, I mean, the War Thunder update's coming. Kind of cool, I guess.